Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are looking at a very interesting article from The Economist.
Yes, a really interesting one. It is all about the United States elections in the year 2026.
Right. And for you listening, 2026 is a big year. It is America's 250th birthday.
250 years, you would think, people would be happy.
But they are not. The mood is actually very bad. The article shares some really scary numbers.
Yeah, the numbers are, well, they are not good at all. Only 25% of voters feel safe about the election.
25%. That is very low.
Exactly. And half of the people think the other side is extreme, like really dangerous, and only 10% think both political parties are honest.
Oh, wow. Only 10%.
Right. So almost nobody trusts the system right now.
Before we go on, I need to say something very important to you, the listener.
Yes, our mission today.
Exactly. The article talks about politics. It mentions Donald Trump, the Republicans, and the Democrats. But we do not take sides.
Not at all.
We are just sharing the ideas from the article. We want to help you understand what the author is saying. That is it.
Right. We are just looking at the ideas. And the first big idea is a prediction about the 2026 election.
Okay, let's start there. What does the article say will happen?
Well, it uses a model. And the model predicts the Democratic Party will win the House of Representatives and maybe even the Senate.
Wait, really? But the map of the states should make it easy for Republicans to win.
It should, yes. But the article says Donald Trump is very unpopular right now, so that changes things.
I see. But the author says winning or losing is not the biggest problem.
No, it is not. The biggest problem is something else. And the author uses two very important words here. Theft, which means stealing, and vandalism, which means breaking things.
Okay, theft and vandalism. Let's look at those. What is the difference?
Well, theft is actually changing the votes, like making a fake number so you win.
Right, actually stealing the election.
Exactly. But the author says Trump probably cannot steal the midterms. It is almost impossible.
Okay, so if he cannot steal it, what is the problem?
The problem is vandalism. Vandalism is not changing the numbers. It is breaking the trust. You make people think the election is fake.
So, I have a question about that.
Sure.
Why does it matter? I mean, if the numbers are true and someone wins, why does it matter if people trust it? The winner still gets the job, right?
That is a great question. But an election is not just about picking a winner.
Okay, what else is it about?
The true job of an election is to make the loser accept the result.
Oh, wow. To make the loser accept it.
Yes. If the loser does not believe the election is fair, they will not accept it. The system breaks. That is what vandalism does.
I understand now. So, if vandalism is the big danger, why is actual theft so hard?
Well, there are strong rules. The author calls them institutional safeguards. Basically, they are protections.
Like protections for a house.
Exactly. The first protection is the U.S. Constitution. It says the states control the elections. The federal government in Washington does not control them. The president does not control them.
Right, the power is spread out.
Yes, it is very spread out. Normal people, like volunteers in your town, do the work. So you cannot just hack one computer and win.
I see. And what's the other protection?
The judges. The courts protect the rules. Like in 2020, judges looked at bad lawsuits and just threw them out.
So let me try to explain this. It is like a house. The house is built very strong. The doors are locked.
Right.
You cannot go inside and steal what is in the house. That is theft. But people are standing outside, and they are throwing rocks at the windows.
Yes, that is a very good way to say it.
And the rocks hitting the windows, those are the destructive behaviors.
Exactly. The rocks are the vandalism. The danger is not that someone will steal the house. The danger is that people inside will panic and think the house is broken.
So the loser refuses to lose.
Right, because they think the rules are not real anymore.
So how are these rocks being thrown? How does a leader break the trust of the people?
The article lists a few ways. We can put Trump's methods into two groups: legal actions and psychological actions.
Okay, let's start with the legal actions. What are those?
Well, one way is using executive orders. That is like a direct order from the president. He might try to use his power to take election control away from the states.
But you just said the Constitution says the states control it.
Right. It is against the rules. The courts will probably say no, but he tries anyway.
Why try if he will lose?
Because of the second legal action lawsuits, going to court takes a lot of time. Even if the judges say no, the fighting goes past November.
Oh, I see. It takes weeks or months.
Yes. And during that time, people get confused. They get worried. They think, why is this taking so long? Maybe something is wrong.
So legal fights are just to buy time and cause confusion.
Exactly. And that brings us to the second group, the psychological actions, the things that change how people feel.
The feelings, right? How do they do that?
One way is scaring voters. The article says they might suggest sending ICE agents like immigration police to voting places.
Voting places. In places like Alaska or Ohio.
Yes. If you put police there, minority voters might feel scared. They might just stay home and not vote.
Wow. That breaks the trust very fast.
It does. And another way is putting bad people in charge of the boxes.
Bad people? Like who?
People who believe fake stories, people who think the 2020 election was stolen. If they are in charge, they will say everything is a trick.
So they are working inside the house, but throwing rocks from the inside.
That is exactly right. And they also use dangerous words.
What kind of words?
Trump calls the other side thieves and traitors. He says every election is the end of the world.
But wait, let me ask you something. If the judges stop the legal actions, if they say no to the lawsuits, do the psychological actions really matter?
Yes, they matter a lot. That is the most important part of the article.
Why?
Because the damage stays in the mind. Even if the court says everything is fine, the psychological damage is already done.
So the trust is already broken.
Right. And this leads to the true danger to democracy.
What is the true danger?
It is the story, the narrative. Trump does not need to win in court. He just needs to build a story. By saying the election was stolen over and over, more people start to believe the story.
And if they believe the story, what happens?
The article has a very strong warning. If you truly believe the other side is full of thieves and traitors, if you think they stole your country, then you might think fighting is a good thing.
Like a patriotic duty.
Yes. You think fighting back is good for your country.
That is very scary.
It is. By breaking the trust people have in each other, it makes it easy for a bad leader to use that anger. That is how the vandalism hurts the country much more than the theft.
Wow. So breaking the trust is worse than changing the votes.
Much worse. Because if the trust is gone, the system falls apart.
Well, let's remember the journey we took today. We looked at why the 2026 election is very important.
Right. It is not just about who wins the House or the Senate.
It is about vandalism versus theft. The rules, the protections, they stop actual theft. You cannot just steal the votes.
But the psychological attacks, the scary words, and the long legal fights, they break the trust of the people. They are the rocks breaking the windows.
Exactly. And that is the vandalism. So, I want to leave you, the listener, with a question, something for you to think about today.
A good thing to think about.
Building trust in a country takes a very long time, hundreds of years. But breaking it can happen very fast.
Very fast.
If a democracy is just a promise between people, what happens when half the country stops believing the promise? Can a set of written rules save a country if the people no longer trust each other?
It is a big question.
Think about that today. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We will see you next time.